Hi, hello! Welcome back to Journals and Dragons. My name is SJ, and today we are going to look at a couple of additional spreads that you can add into your Dungeons and Dragons bullet journal. Today we are going to look at an inventory page, as well as an animal friends page, and just some couple additional ones that don't really line up with anything specific. But were just some additional pages that I found that I really wanted and used. So with all that said, go ahead and brush the dice off your table, make some room, and let's get into this. So these first two pages we're going to look at have a lot of flexibility as far as how you want to do them, whether you want to simplify them or make them more artsy than I did. The first is going to be an inventory page on the left there, and on the right is for my animal friend. So both of these can be simplified rather easily. For inventory, you just make a list of everything you have, or if you want to, you can sort of doodle everything you have in there. As always, make sure you don't do it in permanent ink unless you intend it to stay, so make sure you have an erasable pen, or you just do it in pencils or colored pencils or something like that if you do intend to be switching those things out. And on the right there, again, this can be simplified if you only want to do boxes and lists. I do suggest doing the separating everything into boxes because that is a lot easier to look at, but you certainly don't have to make them fancy or anything like that, but I did want to. So I did sort of just old parchment looking boxes, made them a little bit squiggly and left a little tears in there. And at the bottom, I made my little Blink dog, who looks a lot like a Blink wolf or Blink fox or cat or something like that, but it's fine. We're gonna let him live as is. Just in case you can't see what's in those boxes very well, I'll go ahead and let you know what I have down. So I have different commands that my dog knows. I have different things that like all Blink dogs can do. General AC speed, HP modifiers and stuff that most Blink dogs have, as well as anything that might sort of slip my mind. For example, advantage on wisdom / perception rolls involving hearing or smell. That's just something that I would always forget every time. But anything else you need to know personally about your animal, for example, Pippin, my little Blink dog, is trained using dried papayas, so I need to remember to grab papayas every time I go in town. So just write down anything that you need to remember, and if you have any extra room, if you don't want to include a drawing of your pet, then, or I guess animal guardian or whatever, but we all know they're pets, you can always add an extra box for memories or something cool that your pet did or whatever. That might also be a cute idea. As I finish up the right side page, I just sort of color everything in and outline. I did some galaxy-esque colors to sort of make my Blink dog look more magical than just a plain boring dog. And then as I finish that up, I'm going to head back over to the left there and sort of just give up halfway through as I start outlining everything and writing everything in. I didn't want to record that entire process, so I did give up at some point here. I certainly think it sort of helps organize things if you have it separated, and colors and having it nice and neat usually helps me. Oh, I crinkled the paper. I totally forgot I did that. That was really heartbreaking to watch. But do whatever works best for you, obviously, but if you are having trouble looking at everything on sort of a black and white page and all sort of crushed in there really small, I certainly think laying it out in a bullet journal helps because you can look at all the information much bigger. The doodling and the colors, if you're not a good artist, you can do a different color scheme for each page. So as you're flipping through really quickly, oh, my yellow pages was my spells, or the blue one was my inventory and stuff like that. That can certainly help as you're flipping through really quickly during an encounter. But I just always had trouble looking at all the tiny text on the page, and it never held everything that I needed to remember. So I think this is a really good solution for that. we are going to head into two more unique spreads. On the left, I have one that's sort of designed specifically for my character, but I feel like it's more generally applicable as well, and those are my detective notes. So obviously my character is a detective and has sort of a compendium of clues towards solving the cases and whatnot, but I feel like this would work for pretty much any campaign, because you're almost always going to have to solve some sort of mystery or go on some sort of quest and put clues together. But I want to keep this separated from the inventory and the adventure log pages so that they didn't get buried or mixed in somewhere weird. I wanted to have a separate page where I specifically kept track of clues and different things that I know, different things that I have that I can show people to ask about, whatnot. I just felt like all of that needed to be separated out. So just as an example of different things that I have in my notes are like sketches of suspicious markings or like photos of people. Basically anything that you would sort of need to refer to quickly, so you wouldn't want it to be in your adventure logs or buried in all of your many notes, but still not quite fitting anywhere else, certainly not in the inventory or anything like that. So just keep track of different things you know, different things you need to keep an eye on. If you find anything suspicious or think it might come up again later, this would be a great place to put that. And on the right side, this is just a spread that I wanted as a player, and this is a road map. So this isn't actually like a geographical map of the continent, but it's kind of just where it's more of a timeline of where we've been than it is an actual map. But I just sort of doodled the different places that we had gone to so that I knew, like, we went here and then back here, blah blah blah. I just kind of wanted to see what we had been up to, how our adventure had turned and whatnot. I thought that was sort of interesting. So certainly if you have like a real map, you can include that here, or if you want to make it more like a timeline, like I said it really is, certainly you can do that too. But very simple, very easy, and both of those are just sort of styled. On the left there, I did it sort of to look like a notebook, but again, you can just make it a list if that doesn't work for you. And on the right, you can do a timeline, or you can sort of do bulleted points of where you were, when, and whatnot. But there we go, that's what that looks like. Thank you so much for joining me today. All of these spreads are sort of unique and maybe not necessary, but I certainly think they're helpful. This is sort of why I wanted to move into a bullet journal for all of my character information, as opposed to like D&D Beyond or just the plain old character sheet. I found it was really helpful to spread everything out and to go into detail on everything that I needed to just organize it better, and it worked a lot better for my brain. So hopefully it does for you as well, and certainly I'd love feedback, or if there's anything you found useful that you do, or any suggestions or anything like that would be much appreciated. So thanks again for watching, and have a great day.